As Jesus feasted with friends the night before he died, even this night, it was the beloved disciple who had the place of honor. John sat at the right hand of the host, at the right hand of Jesus. But to sit at the host's left was also an honor. At table the night before he died, who sat next to Jesus on his left but Judas? I still remember my shock the first time I learned this fact. The person who explained it gave a demonstration by lying on his left side as if reclining on a couch, which was the way that folks ate in the ancient world. You propped yourself up on your left arm so that you could eat with your right hand off the table in front of you. Imagine Jesus, the host, in the center. As John's Gospel has it, the beloved disciple rests on Jesus' breast. The beloved disciple must have been on his right side, so that he could lay back against him and ask, "Lord, who is it that will betray you?" Propped up on his left arm, Jesus couldn't have reached far to give the wine-dipped bread to his betrayer. He could only reach to the person on his left, where Judas sat in the other place of honor. John's Gospel, which we heard tonight, carries as a constant refrain the struggle between light and dark, between God and Satan. At supper with his friends, the struggle nears its climax. Jesus' hour draws near. Before the meal began, John tells us, the devil had already put into the heart of Judas to betray him. Then John makes it as clear as day, or rather as dark as night, that after Judas received the bread from Jesus, Satan entered into him. He is no longer Judas, but Satan himself. You remember, Judas was the treasurer, the top dog, given a place of honor higher than Peter or James. So why did he do it? Why did he hand Jesus over? The other Gospels say it was for money. But for John, this is Satan's work. The Gospel of John goes on to say that at the Last Supper, Jesus offered the bread dipped in wine to Judas. Jesus offers Judas what he offers each of us in this and every Eucharist, himself. According to John, Judas rejected this gift. But not long after John wrote, another gospel, not one of the four in our Bibles, proposed that Jesus did not do Satan's work, that Judas did not do Satan's work, but God's work. You probably heard about this Gnostic gospel when its discovery was announced a few years back in National Geographic. Taking a different cosmic perspective from the struggle of light and dark in John, the Gospel of Judas, so called, saw a battle between spirit and matter. Judas is the hero whom Jesus told, "You will exceed all of the disciples, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me." In this telling, Judas set Jesus' spirit free from bondage to this world of sin and death, and is rewarded. So, was Judas Satan, or was he the one who figured out the truth? Was he a disaffected follower, or Or was he hoping to get Jesus finally to usher in God's kingdom? Was he a lover or betrayer of Jesus? Or through that kiss in Gethsemane, was he both? In all the Gospels, but with different motives, Judas fulfilled God's way. There's another disciple who misbehaves at the feast, Peter. Judas was certainly not alone in misunderstanding God's ways that first Maundy Thursday. Peter, the one called the Prince of the Apostles, though not the one who was sat in the place of honour, you'll remember. Peter misunderstood God's ways too. "You will never wash my feet," Peter says. "You, Lord, are too important to serve me," in other words. On the night of the betrayal, Peter, like Judas, would not accept that the Saviour has come among us as one who serves, and that God's way is fulfilled in us when we serve one another. We also misunderstand God's ways. A God whose way was to come as a servant Saviour into all the turmoil of human relationships, of a world in bondage to sin, disease, and death. A God who is working still as we serve others in fulfillment of Jesus' commands to love one another. An astonishing God who risks working through us. So tonight, take your seat at the table. Maybe you will lay your head on Jesus' breast like John. Or maybe you will try to refuse Jesus' touch like Peter. Take your seat at the table. For even those who sit where Judas does find that God works in and through them too.